Hello, my name is Suzanne Benderitis, and I'm the Associate Pastor here at John Knox Presbyterian Church. And I want to introduce to you today Jan Ridgeway, who is the Interim Executive Director of the Garden Valley Neighborhood House. And she is also our speaker and preacher this coming Sunday at worship. And we are just so grateful and excited that she is going to be leading worship with us this Sunday. So I wanted to give everyone out there an opportunity to get to know her a little bit before we worship together on Sunday. So Jan, I want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to everybody. Could you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, I'm Jan Ridgeway, actually Janice Ridgeway. If I hear Jan, I know it has been since I left Georgia, when it went from Janice to Jan. But I am a product of the rural South. Came out of a farming community and became a librarian. Went to Emory University and immediately went into librarianship. I have lived in Alaska for almost 16 years before coming here to Cleveland, Ohio. And I retired from librarianship and immediately the next day went down to Garden Valley Neighborhood House to see if we could make a difference in a community that had so many needs. I have one daughter who is an engineer, and I have two grandchildren, Evan and Parker. And I have enjoyed being a grandmother and finding more opportunity to do that every day as I began to transition a little bit from Garden Valley Neighborhood House and train other people to move in and assume a lot of the responsibility for it. And so I have been at Garden Valley now almost 13 years. It is strictly a volunteer organization. So we have been successful in helping others to see the importance of the work that we're doing there, and they have come on board to help. It's been a collaborative effort, but we have been quite successful and been blessed in the work that we have done there.
And we have been so blessed through our association with Garden Valley as mission partners, and we're always looking for ways that we can get more involved. So we're excited to hear from you this Sunday more about that, as well as just to hear what you have to share with us. What should we be listening for this Sunday during your sermon?
Okay, so I'm going to be talking, I think the topic, and I've been really thinking about this a lot. I think the topic will be love thy neighbor, the call to obedience. And I'm going to talk about it in part in relationship to the work we have done in a neighborhood where we have had to learn exactly who our neighbor is. And so part of it will be challenging the listeners to think seriously about who is their neighbor. And it's not necessarily the person who's sitting beside them in church service or the person who lives next door to them. Sometimes that neighbor may be someone they don't even know, but they have an opportunity to affect change or assistance in that person's life. So I don't know what happened here. Okay. So yes, that would be part of it, is to kind of an exploration, a self-exploration of who is our neighbor. And secondly, what does the Bible, what does our Christian faith say to us about obedience in terms of meeting God's commandments, when the second most important one, the first is to love the Lord, and the second one is to love thy neighbor as thyself. So we're going to be looking for that as I speak on Sunday, and asking the congregation to actually look within, be a little bit introspective in how they see this topic in terms of their own lives and their community give back, and they give back even within their own church.
Well, I am excited to hear more about that, especially given that it sounds like your last 13 to 16 years have been expanding that idea for you about who your neighbor is. And I'm excited about how we can be inspired to think differently or expand our idea of love of God and love of neighbor. So thank you. We look forward to that. Well, before we go, I would love for you to share with me, what is your favorite fall activity? These days are getting cooler and crisper. Put on my cardigan today. I think it's sweater weather. So tell me, what is your favorite fall activity?
I love to walk. I live in University Circle near the museums, right next to VA Hospital. So the Wade Oval is right there. And up until a couple of weeks ago, I was walking 5 miles a day, partly to just see the beauty around me, nature, the trees and flowers and birds and squirrels. And I take my phone with me. So I have pictures of deer and pictures of rabbits and
Oh, that's
and different
awesome.
birds. So I think walking would be one of them. And I'm a huge reader, but coming from my library background, you probably can't imagine that. So I still read a lot. I do more than 250, sometimes 300 books a year. So from all different genres, I'm very curious and love to read and sit on my porch and read. I have a side porch, and as it gets cooler, it's kind of nice to just sit out there with a blanket and curl up in the swing with the book. So those would
I
be
love
some of
that.
these.
That's
Yeah.
great. Well, thank you, Jan. Thanks for taking the time. And we look forward to worshiping with you this Sunday. For everyone out there, we want to invite you to worship with us this Sunday and hear from Jan about her heart for expanding our idea of who our neighbor is, and encourage us with being obedient to God's call to expand our idea of who our neighbor is. Also, a reminder, it is Communion Sunday. So if you're worshiping from home, you can gather your elements together before the worship service or just as we get started. And anything can be a reminder of God's grace to us, whether it's a bagel and coffee, or if you do prepare bread and juice. Any of those can be a reminder of the story that communion tells of who God is and his great love for us. So Jan, we look forward to seeing you on Sunday, 10 a.m. And for all of you out there, we want to remind you that you are not alone. God cares for you, and so do we. We'll see you Sunday. Thanks.
Thank you.